Hey, Star from Sweden. This is Adrienne from the Black Women in Europe podcast, your mindfulness activist.
Hey, it's your girl Kate Pearl, your truth teller and healer for justice over here in the UK. And this is our season of healing.
Of healing racial trauma. We were supposed to do that together, people, but that's as close as we could get. Yeah. So stick around.
Blooper reel.
So very quick class because we're breaking up in a minute as it's half term and I'm off on my holly bobs and I don't normally like to give you homework because I know half term everyone must just relax, but I thought I'd just set you this little piece of homework so that when we come back from half term we can start this new thread because class, I'm always telling you there's a specific type of palm-skinned woman who has the biggest problem with my girl, Meghan Sussex. So based on just this little collage that I've put together for you, I want you to go off and do a little bit of homework. And then when we come back after half term, we can start a new thread as to why certain type of woman has a problem with my girl. What do you think it is? I have my views and opinions and I'll share with you after half term. But why do these particular women have such a problem with my girl when all my girl is doing is living her best life in Montecito, deciding which champagne we'll have with our lunch in the sunshine? Let's have the Krug, Meghan. Let's have the Krug today. Anyway, happy half term, everybody. And we will see you after the break.
Okay. So if you're not already following Bree the Champagne Gal on TikTok, you are now, right? You click through. You saw that as she is our special guest for an episode. We may be starting a series because we're like Meghan, I don't know what you call them, supporters. But this episode, the first time I want you all to meet Bree, because she's going to talk about the British media, Meghan Markle, Mrs. Sussex, and the real story. Kate, you're a fan of Bree.
I'm a big fan. And I'm just going to say it is a cardinal sin if you're not already following her on TikTok. So go and correct yourselves. Bree the Champagne Gal. And
you've been on some lives.
I've been on a live, yes. I've had the privilege, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And I just love how not only you sort of break down, in particular, the British media's treatment of Meghan Markle, but also how you kind of unpack the wider profiles of who would even think like that, let alone say the shit they say about her. So do follow Bree, and I'm not going to lie, your champagne shenanigans are a bonus. I could get back into that.
Thank you so much, ladies. I just have to say it's such a privilege and an honor to, I am a girl from Zimbabwe who has been living in the UK for almost 30 years. And I have had my own personal experiences being a Black woman, a Black African woman living in Britain. A lot of very, very positive experiences and a lot of very negative experiences. And I guess where I can sort of remember when I knew I needed to get into the game of being a voice within the community is really when we were all under the royal fever spell of the new woman of color who was entering the royal family. And I can tell you, it swept across the nation. I think for the first time in many, many years, certainly in the years I'd lived here, we were all in sync. And by all, I mean the nation. Everyone was so excited. We were so happy. I mean, it was street parties. It was just royal fever. And up until the wedding, I remember it was there was a lot of negative press starting to filter through. However, there was more positivity about how progressive Britain was becoming. And we were very excited because, you know, for some of us, in particular myself, I have biracial Black children. And I remember, actually, I can pinpoint the actual moment. My daughter must have been about 5 years old or so. We're driving around in the car and there's just all this Meghan Markle fever. And my daughter said to me, Mummy, what's my surname going to be when I grow up? And I said, well, it can be whatever you want it to be. So I gave her a list of African surnames. I gave her a list of English surnames, a list of Japanese surnames, any surname you like. And then she said, or charming. And it just clicked in my head that, and I remember doing a big Facebook piece about it saying, thank you, Meghan Markle, for making every little biracial Black girl in the land believe that she too can become a princess, because she saw Harry as Prince Charming and she wanted, that was aspiring to her, that, she could be called her name.
She could be part of the fairy tale. She can own the fairy tale like every other little girl in Britain.
And that's when I picked up my shield and I said, right, my baby believes, so I've got to believe. And then, we had all that happen, and then suddenly there was a shift. And as someone who sort of was living at real time, you would just have to walk into any kind of news outlet. I mean, I can't give you the actual timelines because this has been over a period of years, but you walk into any news outlet, any shop, anywhere where they're selling media, magazines, tabloids, and there was this comparison. I'm so sorry about that. There was this comparison of how this beautiful Black biracial woman was suddenly the most hated figure in Britain.
And they start to draw out the comparisons between her and Kate. There were all kinds of just out of nowhere.
And it came as a shock and as a bomb, because how have we gone from we're all very excited and very happy to suddenly we are just in this impasse of suddenly a hated figure. And I have my views and opinions, and I would love to share those with you. So I've written a couple of things down where, in my opinion, it seems that there has been an orchestrated smear campaign. Oh. And, every story needs a villain. And in my opinion, if the villain is Black, even better, because it's more palatable for people to accept that. And like you said, Kate, it was always comparisons between one or the other. And suddenly one was considered the worst thing. And did you know that Meghan Sussex is the most trolled individual on the planet to date?
That is so sad. I didn't know that. I thought it would have peaked and gone down, but I guess
it hasn't. And for me, the reasons why I feel she has been the target of this smear campaign is that Meghan Markle, Meghan Sussex, is the most powerful woman in the world. Okay, she is powerful because she refused to play the game, and she is self-assured. She's confident, she's beautiful, she's articulate, she's well-educated, and she's accomplished. And that
wait a minute, Bree. So you're saying that she's is a superseded, I guess, Michelle Obama? Because I remember when she was the most powerful woman in the world, the way they dogged her in the American media. Absolutely. You tell me how she was treated in the British media, but they dehumanized her, defeminized her, all of that, and she's Harvard educated, right? As if that's supposed to mean something.
And I've always said, and my motivation is what I totally disagree with, besides all the obvious stuff, is that what we in our community consider one of our best. One of our best. And let's not lie about that. Exactly what you said about Michelle Obama is that Harvard educated, one of the best, is then considered and is posted out there for the world to vilify and to dehumanize, like you said, and to declassify and reclassify. And that's the problem to me, because I'm like, well, who are our role models going to be, or who are our children going to look up to if you're saying our best is the worst? And that is what I always have to challenge. And when I walk into places, and it's subconscious now, because I walk in and I look at the tabloid press just to see whether Meghan is on the cover of it. And in a nutshell, the reason they use Meghan and Meghan's face or anything about Meghan is that Meghan sells. She sells.
I was going to say, she sells papers. She sells
papers. Meghan makes money, and her name alone is used to monetize on so many online social media accounts. People make money, and this is why I say she's the most powerful woman in the world. And people can argue with themselves, because the numbers will never lie. If she wasn't powerful, why would they use her name? It's a simple question.
Yeah, they're not going to put a dud in the paper because that's not going to move copies, right? And she's relevant. And I want you, and you and Kate maybe can answer this, because I agree with you. It was an orchestrated smear campaign from the royal family, from Rupert Murdoch and his rags, or both, or
both. I reckon both, but I would say the royal family probably. I don't know if it's more so. I don't know what you think, Bree, but I think as far as impact and the damage done, I think they had more of a play in that.
A lot of I read a lot, and I'm very objective. And when this book came out, this to me is the horse's mouth. And I recommend, a lot of my videos, because when I started posting about, I actually started posting about Harry before anything. I had a podcast a couple of years ago, right when this book came out. And my first episode was actually talking about this book. And Harry has never been sued over this book. And people argue, well, he shouldn't have said this, and the family, and this, that, and the other. Everyone has a right to say their side of the story.
Let me add. You recommend people read it. I recommend people listen to the audiobook. It's him talking. Girl, it's like you're sitting down there with Prince Harry.
You know what? I love, I don't have the audio version, but I've heard snippets of it, and it's wonderful to hear his voice. But even when you read it, you can hear Harry's voice. You can hear Harry's voice. And for me, I don't believe he would lie. I don't believe he would lie.
He doesn't have any reason to lie. And the fact is, everybody knows he's telling the truth. And that's why they're so upset, because it's so believable. Absolutely. Nobody thinks, oh, that's ridiculous. That didn't happen. Yeah. People are like,
and I've always referenced that. Read the book, because in the book, Harry himself tells us where all this stems from. I mean, there's a chapter in the book where he says literally the family, meaning his family, everybody, and I paraphrase here, clambers down to breakfast where all the broadsheet newspapers are all over the table, and everyone's kind of, okay, who's on the front, who's getting the good press. So it's almost like I look at it as very rich people problems where, there's nothing else going on, and it's a popularity contest. And I think for me personally, that's where I saw where this targeted smear campaign went into full gear, is that Harry and his new bride, Meghan, were a total eclipse of the sun.
In the same thing happened to Diana, to Princess Diana.
Yeah, right? I was about to say that. Maybe different variants, but the smear campaign, she totally eclipsed them.
Yeah, her husband was jealous of her.
Yes.
She was more popular on royal visits, official visits. People were like,
Yeah.
where is she?
And she also
Yeah.
told the truth.
And she
Yeah.
told the
She
truth.
also
And
told
she
the truth.
decided not to suffer in silence. And
Yeah.
that's one thing the royal
Absolutely.
family, as an American, it seems like the royal family wants you to suffer in silence. They don't want you to tell the truth, to keep the mystique or something.
And stoicism, as they call it, the stiff upper lip. But I think for me, when I saw the impact and the effects of Meghan Sussex, it scares people. It scares people who have been so used to and are steeped in tradition, whereby people don't like change. And it wasn't like anything she actually did. She just showed up as herself. And she showed up as someone who wanted to do the work and someone who was ready to do the work because she knew her position in being a black biracial woman, that this was the change that
Listen,
the world needed.
Bree, she showed up ready to do the work, accomplished. She was already doing the work. She was already a
Absolutely.
UN spokesperson. She was
Yeah.
already talking about women's rights and feminism.
Right.
She was
Yeah.
already doing the work. I don't know what the future king's wife was doing before.
Yeah.
If she
Well,
had any accomplishments, anything that she has a college degree. I assume she graduated from the university she went to snag him. I don't know. We know Meghan graduated from Northwestern, right? We know she came into the marriage with at least $5 million of her own from her acting career, right? We knew she already had a lifestyle brand website, the TIG, that they made her shut down. So she was prepared. I think the only thing she had to learn was how to curtsy. But everything else she
that's
knew.
it. And even then they take issue with that. But
Yeah, they criticize that too.
For a lot of and maybe I just speak for myself here, but I really I've known of the royal family being from a former British colonial country, and I grew up during the Diana Fergie years, so I've always known about the royal family. Then I moved to Britain, and really, to be honest with you, up until when Diana's death happened, it kind of all, for me anyway, I didn't really pay much attention. Then you just see all the press between William and Harry, and how Harry was always the one getting in trouble, and he was always on the cover of the newspapers. And then you saw their dating lives, this, that, and the other. I really wasn't paying attention until I knew this actress from Suits, and I loved this actress from Suits because in Suits she's our kind of girl, you know what I mean? And then suddenly she's linked to the royal family. Then suddenly you perk up again, and you're like, right, I'm back in the game. And then you perk up even more when you start to see the nonsense, you know. So I didn't know much about William and Kate because I couldn't relate to it. It wasn't my world, as it were. Whereas when Meghan Markle entered the scene and became Meghan Sussex, it was something I could relate to because I've got a daughter who's the same color as her. And we were ready. We were all ready to say, right, let's go. There's a black woman here and she's going to move and take her. So we were very...
Two things you said. We're going to get back to this about Meghan Markle made the royal family relatable. We're going to get back to that and how people talk about how her show is not relatable. It's the most relatable thing if you like lifestyle shows.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out there. But back to, like the dog whistles and codes and things, that code of language that the British media use. They went straight to like front page, straight out of Compton. That's not a coding. I mean, that was like straight for the jugular.
Yeah. So I have a list of some of the dog whistles I've seen over the years. So initially when she came into, when it was announced, the engagement was announced, it was straight away unsuitable choice. Then it was straight out of Compton, bullet riddled neighborhood. Then there was always foreigner, American woman. And then the one that I really take issue with is the NOCD, not our class, dear.
Oh,
Now that's a real snobbery at its peak,
yeah.
you know? I often, with some of the TikToks I do, I try to always bring in elements of what I call the posh put down. And it is trying to take it from this high snobbery level to kind of turn it back on the snobs themselves, because they like to think, in my opinion, that they are better than Meghan Sussex. And I now, I mean, I have my views that she has always been one of our best. So when I can turn it around on them and let it land, then I feel we do a little nod to our Duchess, because she's had to endure a lot. And I think the worst for me was thickening their watery, thin blue blood and pale skin and ginger hair with rich, exotic DNA.
Oh,
And this is written in the 21st century. That
yeah.
sounds something straight out of
And that's only a little list, because I reckon we might have to do a part 2 of this, because once I went down my rabbit hole, there's so much.
It gets deep. I'm going to throw one in, and I don't know if it fits into any of these categories specifically, but one thing I'll never forget is how they really came for her as far as the family dynamics. I don't know if you remember about Thomas Markle and the sister that she'd never, through no fault of her own, by the sounds of it, but they always seem to come for your family dynamic. If there's even a little bit of toxicity on that side, if you're a black woman, and God forbid you live in, the soft life, you're accomplished, you this and this, they will come for you like you're the problem. And I don't know if that's a class thing necessarily, but I think it's quite a universal one.
And you know what? Go on, Bree.
And this is why her show on Netflix has been so heavily criticized by certain members of society, the establishment, what have you, because in their view, speaking loosely here, they have never seen a woman and a woman of color in that light, because it has always been public research knowledge that women of color, black women, have a place in society, and that's never in an elevated position. It's more in a servitude position. And this is why there's all this outrage because suddenly someone is doing the most relatable things on the earth, certainly for the majority of black, African, and
roll. It's how we always rolled. We rolled, and it's all relative. With her income, she's rolling at that level. And my income, I'm rolling, but we always throw down the spread, welcome our guests, put on our best, do our thing, and have joyful times in our homes. We've been growing stuff. We always growing food, gardening, so it's good. But let's go back for 1 second. I don't want to make this about the future queen, but her pedigree was never challenged. Working classes, I don't know what, just because her mother has some successful party business.
Well, this is how the media in this country, certainly what I have seen, is based on race. The paler your skin is, the more digestible, the more it speaks for itself. Whereas other things have to be scrutinized, like Pearl was saying. We've got to really dig deep about where this person comes from, where the links are, blah, blah, blah. Whereas other people are considered pure, blameless, unquestionable characters.
Yeah, fragile.
And I don't know if you've seen it. There's a classic case very recently in the press where I believe something happened in one of our cities where somebody ran over people, and the reporting on that topic was a man had a very nice house, good home. It's always, and we had like a serial killer doctor many years ago, had a lovely village doctor from a very good part of town. It's always reported in a softer way, whereas the other side of things is always reported in a very negative, very aggressive way.
In a softer way, as if like, how could this happen? This is on, they must be mentally ill.
Yes, I was going to say that.
There must be a reason. Whereas when you come as your authentic self and present your authentic Black self, no. That's suspicious. That's an actress. That's a narcissist. That's a this. That's a... there's no end to the suspicion. The color of your skin will be under that type of scrutiny, and it's very interesting, and that's what fascinates me, and that's why I think these conversations are very important, because a lot of people can label you as someone who is, oh, you're anti-white, or you're this, you're that. I've always said to people, I am my space is a pro-Black space. This is why we do the champagne tastings. This is why we do all the things we do on that space, because we are just shining a light on, we're trying to counter the negative connotations that are always seem to be related to our community by saying, no, there's actually a lot of us relatables, as I call us, who garden, who go to wine tastings.
You know what, Bree and Kate, what I just thought about? Because she's been on my power list. What happened to Lorraine? And she was doing cooking. So why are people so amazed that Meghan could do something? But remember her, Lorraine? Was she a former model or something?
Yeah, I think I think for me, where the issue is the power and the structure and the hierarchy of the monarchy. The monarchy in this country are considered, they are revered. They are our first family. They are the best of them. To enter this family is a privilege that only the very select few can enter. So when this beautiful Black biracial woman came, this is why a lot of and I've spoken about it, a lot of white women are triggered, in my opinion, by Harry choosing Meghan, because they may believe that they should have had that privilege before Meghan.
You did a TikTok something and you were like, it was never going to be you. I can't remember what you said. You're like, y'all were upset. Like, it was never going to be you. Go in the back and sit down. I forgot exactly what you said.
Yeah, and I love that, like, the one we've addressed in this episode, because there is a profile. There is actually a profile. I've said this for years. I agree. The royal structure, the hierarchy, 100%. But if we're really thinking about this stuff plays out in everyday life. It does. We know that it's pattern recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, one of the talking points of how systemic racism operates in so-called progressive outlets. And I did a little bit of research where basically, systemic racism is evident in that the major ethnic and racial inequalities persist in employment, housing, and the justice system. And according to data from December 2023, based on employment, because we need more time to go into everything, but 77% of white people were employed, compared with 69% of people from all other ethnic groups combined. So
the UK stats? UK stats?
Yeah, UK stats. And that's from December 2023. And further on, there is a race and ethnic disparities briefing paper dated 24th of May 2021, which I would highly recommend. It's from the House of Commons, so it's called the Race and Ethnic Disparities Briefing Paper, dated the 24th of May, 2021, which I highly recommend people to have a look at, because this is government stats and government information, and the most sort of up-to-date information. And it's a very interesting read. And sort of towards when we wrap up, I've just got a few little tidbits that I collated from that. But this is not, when we talk of these disparities and just social situations within the Europe and the westernized world, it's not that we are vilifying one or trying to upset people because we are talking about it. As Black women, I feel we need to talk about it. We need to talk about our personal experiences and our collective experiences. And this is why I absolutely love the both of you, because every time I have tuned in to your messages, it speaks to my soul. You know, it speaks to my soul, because I'm a woman of a certain age, and I'm done with all the shallowness and the nonsense. I'm done with all of that. I need community. I need a sister who looks like me, who acts like me, who sounds like me, to tell me, Bree, da 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 da, I went through this, I went through that. And it's not about, there's nothing wrong. There's such a shame in our society for a Black woman to speak about her experiences, because people don't want to hear it. And then also people don't want to hear the ugly truth. And how are we ever as a society going to ever destigmatize and actually stamp out some of this nonsense if we never really open up about it? Because I read somewhere yesterday that said, you can't heal what you don't reveal. And
it takes, we've got to be really honest about the things we're actually going through. And that's how we start to understand even potential for healing, let alone get to the business of doing the actual healing. And remember, we're going through things that traumatize us every day.
Every day.
It's even more important than it's ever been.
Yeah, and with the Meghan Sussex, her being the most trolled individual on the planet, and this orchestrated smear campaign, and what I do on my TikToks is trying to really, because you get a lot of trolls coming in there with so much toxicity, so much hate, and I address them. I mean, I address a lot. I don't address, but some I want to address, because there's certain things like the one of the main ones which just jumps out to me right now is how they're constantly saying she's not even Black. You know, she's white. And that one is very important to me, because I had a conversation with someone recently who doesn't want me to keep ramming it down their throats that I am a Black African woman. And I said to them, that is my identity. That is who I am. Oh, come off it. Oh, trivializing who I am. And I think that one, whenever that one comes up, about she's not even Black, I mean, I will stick a picture of Mama Doria there and Meghan, and I will literally break it down to say, do you see this lady with the dreadlocks, with the beautiful locks in her hair? That is her mother. And then I'll go as far as to say the character she played in Suits, that is her father.
But I love him as the actor. But did you see him, the actor that played her father in Suits? I love him. But back to what you were saying about her mother. I'm so glad you brought her up. What a class act.
Oh,
it's so sad that part of your family has to be trash, right? Her father's side of the family seems to be trash, except for her niece. She did have a niece that she got close to that wasn't able to come to the wedding. I'm remembering what I saw the Netflix thing. They wouldn't let her invite her to the wedding or whatever, which is crazy. You can't control your own guest list. But her mother sitting there in that church, and Meghan gave us the most Black wedding. It's Blacker than mine, the most black wedding
Oh.
ever.
You know, that when I go back to that wedding fever, I mean, we were all tuned in. You should have just seen the whole country. Everything was just lined with people and well wishers, and that identity, that the choir in the church. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
know
that choir. Oof.
I get goosebumps even thinking about it. And then every time Doria, I mention her or see her, I want to cry. I really want to cry because as a mother and as a daughter of black folk, right? You know the pain and the struggle and the real, they throw around all these words of strength under pressure, courage, stoicism. Those belong only, in my opinion, to Doria, because out of all of this, when your child is being vilified, is being attacked, when you know that your child has done nothing except be the woman you raised her to be, who is cultured, who is polite, who is well rounded and well grounded. And that's a problem. I don't know how she did it, because I'll tell you, I couldn't. I couldn't. I will take up. This is why I take up for Meghan Sussex, But I'll tell you after, and why I say she's so powerful. And I think I did a video a few days ago where I said after that video, her and Harry dropped of them dancing in their Labour unit. That was the moment Meghan Sussex said to me, "Don't worry about me, girl, Bree. I got this." And I really, because up until then, I was like, I am taking up for this woman because this is not right on principle. But to see her and Harry, the work they've done, and I've often said, I accredit it all to Doria for having been their support system through the worst period of their life, when the world, the whole media has this, not all of them, I mean, there's some who give them good press and some who are objective, but that orchestrated smear campaign, which is, I mean, relentless. It's relentless. How do you wake up every day knowing that?
I know, Kate, how, because that affects us too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Every time we see something negative about Meghan, it's like they're coming for me. Like when they used to come for Michelle Obama, come for Kamala Harris. It's like, I take it personally. It's like, what's the difference?
Yeah. I think if I'm chalking it down to anything in particular, if there was like one thing that, Meghan's doing on the daily, or Harry, or both of them, I think they've both become masters at where they do and don't invest their energy. And I think that what you were just saying about, the dance, it's probably a declaration of, hey, I'm handling this. Yeah. And also, Bree, you prompted memory a bit. I mean, in terms of how severe the smear campaign's gotten and over how long. Yeah, there's even YouTube channels dedicated to calling her a narcissist and all kinds of things. And it's just like, sometimes I think you could probably fall under the weight of that. But what I really believe they've just become masters at where they do and don't put their energy. They're channeling everything that's coming at them into these phenomenal pieces of work. Looking happier by the minute, in my humble opinion. And I think the more happy they look, the more pissed off the racists get. And shocker, but that's what seems to be happening.
And it's that effort, you as an individual, when you've done the work, that you choose to block out the noise and you focus on, I for years, my New Year's resolution every year is, I am only dealing with reasonable people here on earth.
And we were talking about that, weren't we, Adrienne, about who we do and don't invest energy in, and experiences and even places. It's really important, and it's a piece of doing the work.
You have got to be the CEO of your own life, and you have to hire and fire all the nonsense, and you've got to be strong with it, because I'll tell you something. It's not I think I did a video recently saying, I am no longer the people I don't have time for now are the weaklings,
I saw
because
that
I'm
one.
tired of being strong for all of us. You're going to have to grow a backbone now, because where we're going, just as individuals and as a collective, this fight can only be fought together on all sides. Not one person should carry the burden for everybody. And yes, I appreciate not everybody is bold or strong enough, but everybody now has to make an effort to build that confidence, because at the end of the day, we as a society, really, we don't need to go backwards. We need to go forwards. And it seems like we're going backwards sometimes, and it is about protecting your own mental health and saying, right, I'm not actually going to listen to this. I'm going to focus on the things that actually bring me joy and are productive, and my work. They always say, your work and who you are will speak for itself. And that's why I think now we are seeing the shift now, that people are not, it's a small minority of these haters who are hating, because now, after Meghan did her Netflix show, there have been so much positivity, and a lot of women empowerment nowadays is really about, people are not into the whole toxicity anymore. People aren't buying into that. I mean, some do, the ones who are paid to do it, but the majority of people are like, do you know what? I've actually changed my mind and opinion, and I get my news directly from the source rather than a tabloid press that doesn't know this person personally and is making money. And I've noticed it's a certain demographic of people who still read the newspapers, because the young people don't read the newspapers. We get our information from Instagram and, and social media and other platforms, TikTok, things like that. So there is a real kind of shift happening, but it is going to take all of our voices on all sides to do the work.
Yeah, and it's going to take more of that, doing the work and also speaking on it.
Completely.
Simultaneous.
Yeah. The bit that I wrote down, just in terms of, I think one of the talking points was, what does that mean for Black women navigating public life in the future? And according to the race and ethnics disparities briefing paper that I mentioned earlier. Now, this is a government paper, and this is what the government says. The government says, challenge racist and discriminatory actions. That's a mandate from the government themselves. And they also seek to advance fairness in the workplace and, start looking into the biases that exist. And this is from the government. So because I was only really mentioning things like employment, because a lot of us living in the Western world, we spend a lot of our time at work. So the government also said in recruiting, they are starting to use things like blind CVs in the recruitment process. And in terms of diversity relations training, to involve explorations of biases from those susceptible to them. So they want to come away from like unconscious bias training, but more into having people with open minds to sit on these boards, which I don't know, because I still feel I want a Black sister or a Black brother sitting on a board of something, especially if you're in a situation where you have challenged the discrimination within a workplace situation. Because I think, I may be wrong, sometimes just seeing that face at the table on the panel, it just gives you a little bit of hope. But then again, that's how I feel. And then my own advice, really, that I can give to women and women of color who are in situations where they're faced with discrimination or racial abuse is that seek counsel, seek professional or personal counsel. So personal counsel can be from your church groups, family support, friends. Professional counsel can be your local doctors. They can signpost you to different therapies that are available, social services, and if needs be, the legal route as well. Because I think for a long time, Black women have suffered in how our elders used to deal with things, where they just say, no, 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 don't make a fuss about it, don't make a fuss, just toe the party line, as it were. Whereas I think where we now, as the modern day Black women and women of color, we need to challenge the status quo, and that's what I hope that I can do, and I hope I can also be somebody who is bold enough to empower others to be bold enough as well.
Love that. Love that. Dropping in a final thought, pretty much expanding on what you've just said, Bree. We're moving into times where like so much more is demanded of us. I think as far as healing and moving the world along and creating the world we say we want to live in, which is just essentially a better one, really, where everybody's treated fairly and with respect. And we're not going to do a whole kumbaya thing because we're keeping it real. But there are steps that we can take. We've got more power in a situation than we think. And the immediate thing that springs to mind is to keep doing the work, keep speaking on it, and we can create platforms. That's another one that I'd add to the list. If you're not already doing that, please do. Just speak your truth, speak on it, and continue to do the work as individuals. But it is collectively. It is about pulling together, isn't it? In the best way you possibly can. Under the systems haven't gone anywhere, so it's about navigating at the same. It's all simultaneous. But yeah, there's a lot more that can be done. We have more power than we think.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Absolutely. And also, I think the fear of people speaking up needs to be destigmatized now, because I think there's such a fear. And I think, was it Nelson Mandela? There's a quote of how he said he did everything afraid, and it must have been so fearful being Nelson Mandela before he was Nelson Mandela, you know what I mean? As in when he was arrested and was sent to prison, and he had to fight. You've got to fight, and there's ways to fight. There's smart ways to fight, not physical fighting.
They're not. And you know what, Bree? One way we're going to fight is with this meditation I'm giving, because if we don't have, a well mind and body and spirit, you can't fight.
No.
I want to thank you for encouraging us to fight, laying down the landscape. We're going to have more conversations like this, because there's so much more to talk about. And we're going to use Meghan as a study, because as you say, she's the most trolled person in the world. And that makes my heart sad. But I'm going to invite you ladies, if you want to go off camera, I'm going to go off camera while we do our meditation, because I want you to be comfortable if you want to lie down or however you want to be. And there's nothing that you have to do but listen to my voice. You can close your eyes or lower your gaze if that's comfortable, and access your precious breath through your nostrils if that's available. And let your exhales be soft and slow through your mouth. You can even sigh it out. And after this heavy conversation, let yourself land in this moment. Affirm after me silently or out loud in your safe space. I am not what the media says I am.
Not what the media says I am.
I define myself.
I define myself.
I see myself clearly.
See myself clearly.
While we breathe in this moment, we realize the media often distorts us. labels us angry, loud, or we're invisible, or we're too visible. We know the media often edits our stories and flattens our joy. And the media really loves to amplify our pain. So with this short practice, we're considering this a counter narrative, a space to breathe belong beyond the biases that Bree and Kate laid out. With every inhale, we're going to breathe in truth. And with every exhale, let go of distortion. And feel your precious body as it is. It's enough right now the way you are. You don't need to shrink or prove anything. Let's say 3 affirmations before we go. I exist beyond headlines.
I exist beyond headlines.
I honor my full complexity.
I honor my full complexity.
I, you, me, we, all Black women everywhere are worthy of rest, peace, and joy.
All women everywhere, Black women are worthy of rest and joy.
Let your breath be your anchor as we go through our days, navigating everything as Black women that we have to navigate. Let your breath be your truth. And when you're ready, wiggle your fingers, your toes, take a stretch. Ooh, I don't know if you heard something pop over here. I so appreciate you two ladies. Kate and I always end with the wellness practice because the subject's always so happy. Always
I love
so happy.
it. And I absolutely appreciate that because it's, I feel so centered. Just that. And you know, when we exhaled, when you said exhale like all the bad stuff.
Distortions, yeah.
Distortions. Yeah, that was particularly powerful.
It went on and on and on by exhale. I didn't know the lung. I had that much to let out. So,
Thank you so much. We do have so much to let out. I'm so glad we're ending it that way and that you said that. Kate, we're going to have her back, right? As soon as she can come back.
Yes, please do.
Absolutely.
Ladies,
Don't forget.
You have honored me so much, like you would never know. And you know, I'm always here. Just give me a shout. Always happy because we've got so much to talk about.
We've got so much to talk about. We're not going to cut it short. Don't forget Bree the Champagne Gal on TikTok. You're already following Kate Pearls on TikTok. And you know, I'm here.
I brought my glass of bubbles.
You brought your bubbles. I'm going to try and bring some next time.
Yeah, they are faux bubbles because, you know, even though it is at midday somewhere in the world, but I'll be on the real stuff later on tonight.
See what a class act. We're working with everybody. See what a class act. Thank you, ladies. And I will see you soon. Bree, I'll see you soon. I'll see you on TikTok. Kate, we have a date next Monday, right?
We do. Next time.
And Bree, we're going to be already talking about when we're going to get you back. So everybody have a great rest of your day.
You too. See you next time. Love, ladies. Bye.